Good afternoon. My name is Kim Manchester. I'm the Managing Director of ManchesterCF. Today, we are going to discuss the Financial Intelligence Specialist Program offered by ManchesterCF and the University of Ottawa's Professional Development Institute. There's ample time to ask questions during the presentation. I think we're a small group. So if you have questions, please type them in the Q&A window, and I will do my best to answer them. There is also simultaneous translation of this presentation into French. Thank you very much to our friends at the University of Ottawa for providing that service. My French is terrible, so I'm afraid I'll be speaking to you in English only. Right. To begin, let's talk about the Financial Intelligence Specialist Program and its foundation, which is FIU Connect. And FIU Connect is designed for financial institutions, national financial intelligence units, and law enforcement agencies. There are currently 19 modules and growing. Unfortunately, the subjects of anti-money laundering, counter-terrorist financing, and national security threats, those are always growing in size and scope and magnitude. So we're always adding content and major course updates. All our programs are online in HTML5. There is no instructor, nor are there scheduled webinars. There are no downloadable videos. Everything is hosted on Blackboard, the learning management system, which is distributed through Amazon Web Services. So it's a very reliable and very secure platform. The Financial Intelligence Specialist Program was originally from ManchesterCF and the University of New Haven in Connecticut, but now we are offering it through the University of Ottawa Professional Development Institute. So that's very exciting. You need to complete 12 FIU Connect modules in 1 year and obtain a grade of 80% or above on average. There are no continuous professional development credits. There is no annual fee. You receive a PDF certificate and a digital badge from Credly. So that digital badge will end up on your LinkedIn profile. So you can show the world that you have received the Financial Intelligence Specialist designation. So let's look at the individual modules within FIU Connect. There are 4 modules for the high-risk areas of international banking: trade-based money laundering for traditional trade finance, supply chain finance, and open account trade; correspondent banking, that's designed for both correspondent banks and respondent banks; capital markets, equities, fixed income, currencies, and commodities; and then private banking / wealth management. These are all the high-risk segments for money laundering, terrorist financing, and national security threats. By the way, it's important to remember that although all of these courses have been built, designed, and produced in Canada, they are all from an international perspective. ManchesterCF's clients are major international financial institutions, national financial intelligence units, law enforcement agencies, customs intelligence, and the intelligence community. For financial intelligence units, both within a bank and run by government, in Canada, our financial intelligence unit is FINTRAC. And in French, FINTRAC is CANAFE. So I forget how that is phrased in French. My apologies. The Fundamental Anti-Money Laundering course sets the benchmark for AML. Corruption, that's always a hot subject in financial crime. Report writing, the output of any investigation is a report. So this teaches and instructs on the best habits for producing reports. Terrorist financing, we produced this course in conjunction with the former head of terrorist financing for the Federal Bureau of Investigation. Illegal trade of wildlife, we produced that course in conjunction with the Royal Foundation's United for Wildlife Task Force. Real estate, economic sanctions, critical thinking, crypto assets, such as Bitcoin, etc. Financial investigations. This course is designed for those who are both in private sector and in public sector, and it shows the differences between the two when conducting a financial investigation. Proliferation financing, that's for weapons of mass destruction, chemical, biological, radiological, and nuclear. Open source intelligence. You can't be a financial investigator these days without a heavy dose of open source intelligence. Arts and antiquities. So money laundering, fraud, terrorist financing, all through the international art market. Human trafficking. We wrote this program in conjunction with a human trafficking survivor. And then environmental crime. That's probably one of the more depressing courses. Unfortunately, all of these subjects tend to be very heavy and weigh heavily on your conscience, but that's the problem with this subject. It deals with the harsh realities of transnational crime, with terrorist groups, with national security threats, such as nation-state actors wishing to do you harm, which in Canada we are painfully aware of. So I'm going to switch to a live demonstration of FIU Connect. Don't forget, if there are any questions, please type them in the Q&A box. So here's a live session. We will go straight to FIU Connect. So this is a live session of Blackboard. Because I'm located in Toronto, this Blackboard session is hosted on the East Coast of the United States. And Blackboard has servers around the world. So all our international clients have easy access to FIU Connect. At the top is a message about the Financial Crime and Compliance MBA program and the Illicit Finance MBA program from Bangor University in Wales in the United Kingdom. FIU Connect forms a foundation for both those programs. So if you're interested in pursuing an MBA, contact academics at ManchesterCF.com. So here they all are: real estates, trade-based money laundering, correspondent banking, etc. Let's have a look at correspondent banking. Here is the overview sheet. There's a digital textbook, references, a glossary, and the knowledge assessment. The digital textbook has pages turned like they would in a digital magazine. The table of contents shows the depth and breadth of examining correspondent banking risk. And don't forget, this is one of 19 modules. There's over 900,000 words of content in FIU Connect. So it's a very in-depth program on the subject of financial crime. Table of contents. So there's an introduction. Chapter 2 is risk management. Chapter 3 is cash management. Chapter 4 is trade-based money laundering. Chapter 5 is other products, such as custody or banknotes. Chapter 6 is sanctions. 7 is offshore financial centers. 8 is terrorist financing. 9 is de-risking. 10 is due diligence. And then we look into monitoring and then the subsequent appendices. There's a glossary. We use all sorts of examples throughout FIU Connect. We use actual examples, case studies, and sometimes we use synthetic examples to prove a point. So we spend a lot of time in the desktop publishing and the layout of all of our courses. This is not death by PowerPoint. This is an engaging way of reading and absorbing a huge amount of knowledge with respect to money laundering and terrorist financing and national security threats. There are videos embedded in the digital textbook. There are narration from a narrator in the United Kingdom. And there's the text at the bottom of the video. You can pause it, you can scroll back, you can scroll forward. They're a very interesting way of presenting information to users. I can hear the narrator in my headphones. Unfortunately, you can't. And those videos are dotted throughout the different courses. Here's an example on the subject of BNP Paribas, a bank from France. There's an example with First Caribbean International Bank, which is a division of CIBC, a Canadian bank. And we have an infographic here on HSBC from the big case in 2012. We produce a lot of infographics for our programs. And everything we produce is done in-house from our offices here in Toronto. We use the Economist magazine style guide as our writing standard. That allows for a very clear presentation of information. And at the end of each chapter, we include discussion questions. So people employed by a financial institution or in civil service can discuss the contents of that chapter relative to their organization with their colleagues. So if there's 2 people from the same organization signed up for FIU Connect, they can have that conversation. For our large banking clients, for our large public sector clients, this is very useful because they allow a moderator to throw questions to a group based on that chapter's content and put the context of that chapter into a discussion. Risk management. This chapter discusses subjects such as compliance risk, legal risk, regulatory risk, country risk. And here's a big example on BNP Paribas. And then more discussion questions at the end. Now, you can navigate this course by pulling up a menu that allows you to skip ahead to certain sections, such as offshore financial centers. You can also type in search parameters. So you can type in text, and because each digital textbook is fully indexed, you can be taken to search results that will provide you with links to access that section. So it's very useful as not just a training tool, but also a reference tool. So here we have a discussion on offshore financial centers, what the IMF thinks of them, what the United Kingdom thinks of them, the USA Patriot Act, we try and get input from all major international financial centers: New York, London, Hong Kong, Singapore, Frankfurt, Dubai. And then there are red flags. So it's a list of red flags to do with the content of that chapter or the subject of discussion, and things to think about. Terrorist financing. And there again is all sorts of information here. So that's the correspondent banking course. If we skip ahead and close this one, we can go to the references. So here are all the PDF references uploaded onto Blackboard, which allow the user to delve into a subject in much greater detail. And the PDFs themselves have been uploaded to Blackboard, not hyperlinks, which die and change over time. There is a glossary, because in this business, everyone loves an acronym. And then there is the knowledge assessment. So hosted on Blackboard is a knowledge assessment of 15 multiple choice questions per FIU Connect module, pulled at random from a test bank of over 100 questions. So no two user experiences are alike. Now, I'm not going to embarrass myself by attempting this. And there is the correspondent banking module. So if we go to trade-based money laundering, you will see that it's very similar. Again, a digital textbook. Again, you can skip ahead. Let's head to variable pricing of goods. And another video. So there's a consistency of format. There's a consistency of presentation of information, which is much better than just scrolling through endless PowerPoint. And again, this is searchable through search terms such as dual use goods. Well, there you go. There's an example of dual use goods. Okay, with another video. So, any questions so far? If you have a question, type it into the Q&A box, and I will do my best to answer it. The one question we do get is, how long does it take to complete one module? It takes 8 to 10 hours for the average user to complete one FIU Connect module. So if you think about having to pass 12 FIU Connect modules to receive the Financial Intelligence Specialist designation, that's 120 hours for the average user, maybe a little more for those who have less experience in the subject. So there is a need to dedicate a certain amount of time. Here's a lot of red flags. And then another video on Panama Papers. We update these courses based on major legal, political, economic, and regulatory events. Some courses do not get updated very often, such as the report writing course. I mean, the English language has not changed dramatically in the past few years. However, courses such as crypto assets, with all the changes going on with Bitcoin and crypto assets, you can imagine there is a need to update this content on a regular basis. And in fact, we've just released a massive update to the crypto assets course. And all of our programs have references. So as we write the program, we reference and cite all of our different sources. And that's key. We take a very academic approach to our training. If you think about it, banks and governments around the world depend upon ManchesterCF to provide them with training for their staff on very complex subjects that have real consequences. Terrorist financing, money laundering, national security threats, they pose an existential threat to civilized society. So the training that's pulled together should be good and should be professional and should work. And we're very proud of all the work we've put into these FIU Connect modules. And the market agrees with us. And that's why we're fortunate to have the clients that we do, who are based in major financial centers around the world, national financial intelligence units, etc. No questions? Come on, just one. Who's got a question? You can even type your question in French, and I will attempt to use my broken French to read it and understand in English. So that's the crypto course. And then we can look at one more. Does anybody have a course in particular they'd like to see? Proliferation financing. That's a very depressing subject. So let's have a look at that one. We'll skip ahead to purposes of sanctions. We choose different themes for our courses too. For crypto assets, it's from various military sources. For capital markets, it's corruption. Sorry, for the corruption course, it's Shakespeare. For capital markets, it's Greek tragedy. For the financial investigations course, it's Sherlock Holmes. So we do like to have some fun. We do have a question. Other than the quiz at the end, are there any exams or essays to write? And the answer is no, there are none. Just the multiple choice quiz at the end of each module. How long is the national security threat module? We don't have a national security threat module. We just have the need to serve the money laundering, terrorist financing, and national security threats to financial institutions and governments. So when I say national security threat, I am referring to subjects such as proliferation financing for weapons of mass destruction, such as terrorist financing. As you can see from the proliferation financing course here, there is great detail on the subject. We can go to the table of contents. So Chapter 1, an overview of weapons of mass destruction. Chapter 2, international counter-proliferation efforts. Chapter 3, purposes of sanctions. Chapter 4, countries of proliferation concern. Chapter 5, use of crypto assets. Chapter 6, dual-use goods. 7, proliferation networks. 8, international trade. So you get the idea. References start at page 145, which means there's probably 50,000 words in this course. Next question is, you mentioned that there are 19 modules, but only need 12 for the certification. Are any mandatory, or can we just pick the 12 that interest? Yes, you just pick. So we started off with 12. We started off with 12 modules and said, okay, to get the FIS designation, complete these 12 modules. And then we ended up adding a 13th. And then we thought, oh, so complete 12 of the 13, And then you get your FIS designation. And then we added up with a 14th and a 15th and a 16th, and 17, 18, 19. So that's why we stuck to the core 12. You have access to all 19. And the fact of the matter remains that people who've chosen a profession where the financial intelligence specialist designation is of use will most likely review all 19 modules to get their FIS accreditation. Because in order to pursue a career in anti-money laundering within a bank or as a financial investigator within civil service, you're going to need to know all these subjects. So, correct, you can choose only 12, but my advice is do the full 19. Okay, and there's a link on the PDI website for the Financial Intelligence Specialist Program where you can register. The registration fee, I think now is something like 3,800 Canadian dollars. And for samples of all our different courses, visit ManchesterCF.com and you can see individual courses there, the samples of the digital textbooks and overview sheets that provide greater detail. So there's a wide variety of information you can pull together. I believe that my friends at UOttawa PDI are going to be circulating a PDF overview sheet for FIU Connect. Thank you very much to them. They're wonderful people and have been very supportive. And thank you to Anton and his team for all the translation services. Je vous remercie tous. So if I speak in French, do they have to translate into English? And yeah, that's a lot of information that will be available. Any other questions? No? Okay. Well, we were supposed to go until 12:45. However, I think we'll break up a little early. I've given a good overview of FIU Connect and the Financial Intelligence Specialist designation. Thank you all for attending and good luck. And we hope you register. Thanks very much.